and Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We have another episode for you today. We're on episode 119, and we're back. We're back in the studio. We were out and about over the past few weeks, but now we're back, and I'm excited because I'm finally getting to talk to Nate here about Ever So Slightly. But how you doing, man?
I'm great.
Yeah, you had a night.
Yeah, I was out late last night, but I'm here.
You're here. It's vibes. So yeah, I kind of want to learn all about like Ever So Slightly. So I first of all, like I've seen your name and like heard it for like a few years now, even before like this project. And I'm trying to remember exactly. Did you play in like another band or anything like that?
Oh
around
yeah.
time?
So I've kind of been around.
Okay. Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've heard like your name before like this, and I apologize if like I should have known about that, but I was trying to like look around. But what kind of stuff were you playing before?
So I moved up here. Like I'm from Victoria.
Oh,
it's like
really?
5.5 hours south.
Yeah.
So I moved up here like 5 years ago. I actually moved up with my band Velvet Skyline.
Okay.
And so we did some stuff a little bit, and then that band ended. And then I was in Matchstick Ghost for a while. And then kind of like hopped around from other like as a live guitarist.
Yeah.
So I was in Pennyboard for a while, South State for a while. I even helped New Heroes for a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
And so after so those bands like Pennyboard, South State, New Heroes, and I was just like a live member. And I think I enjoyed that because my first band, like back when I was 14, back home, like we're in a band, it doesn't work out. Form another band, it doesn't work out. Form another band, that type.
Kind of getting like that bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah. So
like,
after like not being in a band, I was like, I think something needs to change. So I started Ever So Slightly, which is like my, I guess, ultimate baby because I write everything all by myself. Like,
okay.
So if you listen to Ever So Slightly, from the drums, the synths, the lyrics, everything is all written by me. And so that's pretty much like my side passion project.
So that's where I was gonna kind of go into. As I was wondering like how the actual songs get made if you worked with it. But that's cool. So you work on all this stuff, like it's all you from
right.
top to bottom, like at the moment for songs. That's super cool. I've always seen people who are able to do that and been like, it's so awesome to like if you have an idea, like you can tap into like all the instruments like enough to create like the whole vision. Because I've been a vocalist like for a long time. Like I stopped like after my last band, but I could never. And I learned how to play guitar. Like I grew up learning how to play like classical guitar and stuff like that. But I could never like write music on something like it. That just like something that never made sense on an instrument for me. The closest I ever got was like I got a MIDI keyboard one time, and that helped out because I didn't have to play it right the whole time. I guess that's the way my brain was working. Like, oh, I need to be able to play all of it. But with the MIDI board, I was just like, all right, punch in, play this part, and then punch in, play whatever. But yeah, that creative mind to be able to take the instrument and realize the vision through with every instrument must like feel super cool to create once you get finished products,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like sometimes, I have a lot of songs that I think are horrible. Yeah. But like the ones that I do finish, sometimes like if I'll have the full finished song and I'm like, how did that even happen? You know what I mean? Like I don't really, like if there's something that I really like that I had made, I'm like, how did I even shocked that I did it?
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
But all the instruments like guitar, I started like 18 years ago.
Oh wow.
So I'm 28, and so I learned when I was like 10. But I went to a friend's place. Spent the night, and he introduced me to Guitar Hero.
Oh,
so, yeah, we played Guitar Hero, and then One by Metallica. That's the next song we're playing. That changed my life forever.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like, oh my God, what is that? And ever since then, begged my parents for a guitar. Never looked back ever.
So was anyone like musical in your family, or was it you bringing that, like, hey, I want a guitar, was that like a first for like the family, I guess?
Immediate family, yeah, but like my great grandfather, he played guitar.
Okay.
And I actually have his specific custom guitar tattooed on my back.
Oh, that's
he had
cool.
passed away a little
Sorry
while.
to hear that.
Yeah, and but like huge family. So and everyone kind of has each other young. So my great grandma, she's like 80, barely 80 something.
Oh, damn,
I'm
okay.
almost 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, he played and he had his own Tejano band.
Okay.
Back in the days, and they had like 10 kids, which one's my grandma. None of them really did anything. They all had 3, 4, 5 kids each. So like my mom has like almost 30 cousins.
Wow.
But like
Okay.
I think only one of them plays music, and so it kind of like sprinkled in there here and there like that. My mom was in marching band. So she played the flute. My sister was in marching band. My brother, I was in marching band too.
Yeah.
So that aspect of it, it's all there. But like in terms of, I guess,
Like
rock and
pursuing
roll,
it. Okay,
pursuing stuff. Or
and then that genre too. Okay,
that too. Yeah. Other than like with that specifically, I'm pretty much kind of like the only one that's doing this.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's kind of cool. It is interesting sometimes. I don't know how your family like receives it with you know, going into the genre that you're playing and learning to like it. But yeah, I had because I think the first band that I ever did was a metalcore band, and like for my family to understand that, it was kind of interesting. But how was like your reception into like the people around you, not only your family but like your friends and stuff like that, when you started to actually write and perform with like a band? Did you feel like some like support from them, or like it was just cool for them to have a friend that was in a band?
Yeah, I think everyone was pretty supportive, especially like growing up. I've been in a bunch of different bands, so like I've been in a country band before.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
I used to be in mariachi, so I used to do that.
Same.
And then I was in a jazz band.
Oh wow.
In high school,
Yeah.
so like, and then playing classic rock covers or like doing this type of stuff. I think my family's more supportive of this specific type of music.
Okay.
I think they like the chiller stuff, because I've been in like heavy metal bands too,
Yeah.
and like none of my family really listens to that. So I think, specifically like for my mom, I think this is the right genre.
This okay.
Not that she wasn't supportive before, but it's even more so.
Where she can actually get into
Right,
it too,
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I definitely feel that. But that's cool. That's cool that you know, no matter what, you have had that like support and upbringing, because like you again, but the going back to like you trying band after band after band and like feeling like, oh, it's not working out. Do you and then finally striking out on something that's completely like just you? Do you feel how do you feel like in that transformative process? We're going something with you're like working with others, which you still do, like you have a live band and stuff like that, but creatively working on something that, you know, if you want to put something out or create something, like you can, like top to bottom.
Yeah.
How did you feel that change from going from like a band working together and then now working kind of on your own creatively?
I feel like there's like pros and cons. Like if I'm writing something, I mean, I guess music is subjective, but like if I was writing something that I thought was good and it isn't, there's no one there to tell me that it isn't. You know, there's no like, there's no push. If I'm like, if I'm writing a song and I can do better,
Yeah.
no one's there to do that. So, but also if you're in a band, there's sometimes 2, 3 heads better than one, you know?
Yeah.
So there's like the pros and cons, but also me by myself, I feel I can express myself all the way. You know, I can be totally me.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably more me in my music than I am now, if that makes any sense. Like I can be like 100% me through my music.
Yeah.
For people. You
Yeah,
know?
I feel like you know, as a musician and especially like as a songwriter, it feels really nice to have a space to be like completely vulnerable. You know what I mean? It's not the easiest thing to be out and about and be vulnerable,
Right,
especially
yeah.
with like everybody. You know what I mean? With music, you kind of can do that with everybody because it's in the song. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I wrote it. All this stuff is honest. I don't go around my day like saying all this stuff all the time. Like, oh, but it's real and like, and it's out. You know what I mean? Like, you get to actually process it. So I feel like a lot of songwriters have that like cathartic like moment with music where it's like, oh, like whatever this emotion is, I can put it down and experience it and make it real. But like, I don't have to, go around doing it all the time. But you brought out like not having a band and people like not telling you like, oh, like you can do something better and this and that. Which like in a band you have those built in. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh yeah, hopefully your band is telling you like, hey, yeah, you can do something better. Or try changing it up or something like that. Have you created your own like maybe group of like peers that you kind of trust to be able to show music to and be like, hey, what do you think? And like have honest feedback, or do you normally just like, I'm writing it the way I want to and that's it?
I kind of gotten better with both. Okay. So like I've gotten better with trusting myself and not overthinking and kind of like stepping back and looking at it like if I wasn't the one that wrote it, so I can kind of critique it. But also I do I'll bring it up to my roommates like Pennyboard and New Heroes, Faith and Ryan. I live with them, and I have some other roommates too, Michael and Hunter, and so I'll show them my stuff, and I'll get some feedback from that. Yeah, which is cool. So like I have that, and then I'm also just in general getting better at trusting myself. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, like that was I feel like that's a big thing to get over that hump creatively, because before, I think I used to immediately write stuff for other people because I wasn't willing to trust myself. So I was just like, I had that moment where I was like, oh, where, these people will think this is cool. And like, so I'll write this way, or I'll write about this because that's what this person like is, or these people we're talking about right now, because like what I want to say or how I want to say it, like, is like nobody wants to hear it that way, you know what I mean? And then looking back at it, I've seen those songs and been like, oh, these are like, you can see how very disingenuous like the songs were, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, they weren't really real. And then once I started to like trust myself a little more, I like those songs better. And whether it's subjectively me just being like, oh, it's a better song, but I know how it was written, so I'm able to understand, be like, oh, okay, that's why it's better, like because it's not trying to be something it's not. But yeah, trying to be honest in your own music. It's cool that you found a way to actually trust yourself and be able to put out you want. Now this I think the first stuff was released in 2023. When was like when you started like officially working on like I'm gonna do something on my own? Yeah, that was, I've been wanting to do this since 2020. Okay, and I was just too scared, especially like. I don't really consider myself a vocalist, and that's the hardest part to me. Yeah. So like 2020 around COVID, I was like, I want to do my own project, but I'm so terrified to sing, and it took me 2 years to finally like do it. Okay. I don't know if you know the band Hippocampus. They're like a bigger indie pop. I don't know them, but I was reading through a few like the info on you, and then I was one of the so I don't know like their music. Well, I had discovered them around 2020, 2021, and listening to them, that kind of gave me the push. I was like, okay, I want to do this, especially because I knew I wanted to do something in that realm already. But even like with my first show last year, I was so terrified to be a front man. Like I'd taken 3 shots and it didn't do anything. It didn't. Yeah. So, but now I'm better. Like I can finally like perform, and I'm actually excited because we have a show in Deep Ellum on the 9th. Yeah. And I'm not nervous. Oh, okay. Yeah. So which is really cool. But I also have a dancer. Like an interpretive dancer. Yeah, I've seen that. So I haven't, unfortunately, like I haven't made it out to a show yet, but I've seen the videos, and then like I remember the first time I saw the dancer, I'm like, wait, hold on, like I didn't know like it was part of the show, so I'm like, oh, someone was in the crowd and did it, but then I saw it in another show, I was like, oh no, it's planned in, which bummed me out even more. I was like, damn, I want to see this, like I want to see like this thing. So like, tell me a little bit more about that. The original idea for that was like, being so terrified to be a front, because like I've played drums, bass, guitar, keys, all that live before, but I'd never been a front man, and for some reason that terrified me more than it should have. And so I was like, how do I get people's eyes off of me even though I'm the front man? And so I was like, I'll get an interpretive dancer, she'll be the visual of it, so that way no one has to look at me. Oh my god. That was the original like thought process. Really? Yeah. That's interesting. But it's when you're playing in a band, like every other instrument, you can get like the attention, I guess, of the crowd. But if you are a vocalist frontman, like
that is your job. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that people automatically assume like this is what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Now I like I have friends who are like guitar players, especially like my drummer friends are like, no, I'm staring like at the drummer the entire time. Like that's why I'm here. Like I have a friend named Gamma and then Jonathan who are like literally always like, oh, like, you know, I'm always just staring like at the drummer mostly. You know what I mean? But for the most part, like the majority of people, like if there's a front man, like that's who they're gonna like. That's where their attention is gonna go. And once you realize that, it's like, oh crap, like they're gonna be looking at me like the entire time. You know what I mean? Like you don't get kind of a little break. Like so, you're not only in charge of performing, so you know that they're paying attention to you, paying attention to your performance, but even like the little in between song spots, like, oh, they're still looking at you. You're still the person holding a microphone, so they're gonna kind of go to you. But yeah, that is something that you would have to kind of work on, and jumping into it from never doing it to your own project, and then you're doing again your being front man person in your band in your new project, like sounds terrifying for the first time. You say your first show was last
November, so it
hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah, and it hasn't been a year yet.
Wow, but you say like you definitely feel a lot better now.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel much better. I've even worked on like my crowd work. There was one show I played, and I don't know what it was. I think I was so focused on the singing aspect of it that I didn't even really know what to say to the crowd. Oh. You know what I mean? So we'd finish the song, and I'd be like, "Thank you. This is the next song." Like it was.
Yeah.
But now I'm even gonna try to add little like ad libs for live performances during the songs to get people pumped up, and like whenever we practice the set, I'm now also not just practicing the songs, but practicing what I want to say in between specific songs too. So that way, like I have at least a little bit of a loose script, I guess.
Yeah,
you know. So I'm getting better. I'm getting better at that, and I'm excited to try out new things. Like to get the crowd pumped up and everything.
Yeah, because it's definitely practicing the songs just to practice and see that you know them is totally different than practicing for a live show. Like because you're dealing with an extra factor which you don't do in other practice, and it's an audience. Like so they're watching you the entire time. You know what I mean? So like so you do have to figure out like even during the performance, like, oh, what am I doing here? Am I just standing and singing? Should I be like do a little dance? Should I move to this side? You know, who's and then improvising, the biggest thing is like I think like even improvising day of, like, okay, is this person over here paying more attention? You know what I mean? Like maybe I go interact with them or this and that, because you have that live like reception like immediately. So you know things will have to be, I think, adjusted even on the fly, like depending on like what your crowd is like. You know, then there's good crowds, and then you have crowds where you feel like they're bad crowds, or you don't know. Like I've had some where I'm just like I don't know what I'm looking at here, you know what I mean? Like, or not able to read the room, you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh, I don't know, am I doing well or am I doing bad? You know, and sometimes you don't know till the end, like when you finish and people are like, oh, that was awesome. And I'm like, I couldn't tell, man. Like, I don't know, like you were giving me nothing. But yeah, it's a giant responsibility as like a friend. And when I first started doing it, I did not know what to say. Like, because I think when I started playing around in the scene, I had never really truly gone to shows, like, to be honest with you, like when I was in my first band. So everything was new to me. So I was learning everything based on like the bands that I would see. I was a lot more than now, but I was addicted to like looking up every band that I liked live shows. And I like not like good ones, just like audience, like someone had their camera there, and this is back, I think, even before people were filming on their phones. So whoever brought a camera or whatever, like I was obsessed. I would look at the entire full set. Like that was my thing. Like it's like band, insert band here, full set, and I would just watch. I'm like, okay, what are they doing? Like how are they talking? What are they bringing up? Just to figure that part out, because it's hard. My thing is that I would always just default into like a stand-up routine almost, like how do I make people laugh here, but and then go back to like the metal persona, like scream. I'm like, oh, I don't think I ever really cracked it, but I was just like, at the end I was just like having fun, like it's whatever. But I've also seen those performances where a front man or whoever, you know, takes control of the audience. Who have I seen? I saw Kublai. I don't remember how to say Kublai Khan.
Okay, yeah.
I saw him at So What, not this past one and not the last one, like 3 years ago, I guess. and seeing the way that crowd is being like completely like in tune with him, and him knowing that, you know, and being like, okay, like the crowd does this now, and then the crowd's doing that now, but the entire time, like it's like seeing someone put the foot down on the gas and not letting up like the entire performance. I'm like, oh, you're in it that entire time. I'm like, that's cool. I go, and that's like a different level, but it depends on genre wise, but now I can spot it a little bit better in other genres and stuff like that. I was like, oh, like if it's a more like fun type like vibe, then I've seen people, you know, curate that too, to make sure that people are having like a fun time the entire time. Like it's super important to curate it to the type of like music that you're performing, but also the audience and also your own personality. I think most of the time that's my favorite thing. So when people let their personality loose, like I feel like it works out like every time. But yeah, like, so I mean, right now you only have, I think four songs out.
4 songs.
Right? You just released like not too long ago.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Crooks, yeah, right, okay. What's your plan for like building music now? Because you were saying like you have a bunch of songs that you kind of write. Is there any specific plan that you have for like music release, or are you just kind of releasing singles and stuff like that at the moment?
Yeah. So my first goal with these, I guess, little batch of songs was to write 4. I guess, you know, the 4 songs sort of differently. Like I feel like they're kind of different from each other. That was the goal, to kind of prove to myself really like I can stay within the realm of, I guess, indie pop or whatever, and write different types of songs. Now that I did that, my next goal is I'm working on a 5-song EP right now, and to show that I can write something that are a collection, you know, 5 songs that are supposed to like blend in together. You know that they belong together on an EP or an album or whatever. I'm almost done writing it. I have 2 songs that that's another thing too, is like the whole overthinking thing is like they're done, and I have to constantly tell myself they're done. Yeah, the songs are done. Don't go back. Don't overcomplicate it or whatever. But I have 2 songs that are completely done that we're even playing this next show, and I think like 2 more that are just instrumentals that I need to add vocals to, and kind of still working on the 5th one. I kind of have like this weird process. So like I'll get my voice memos on my phone. I have like hundreds. I'm pretty sure like a lot of musicians understand.
Relate that.
I have like a bunch of different voice memos, and like I'll doodle on the guitar, and if I like something, I record it on the voice memo, and I'll play it back and play something else with it, and I'll keep doing that until a different idea. If I like it enough, I'll bring it to the GarageBand on my phone. Yeah. And
on your phone?
On my phone. Okay. Yeah. So like I'll have GarageBand on my phone, and I have like the Apple earplug or earphones with the little talkie part.
Oh yeah, the wire.
I'll lean down with the talkie part and play it, and that's how I record like my demos. Okay. And so I'll record the guitar parts, write a bass part over it, mess around with the drum pad, and then the keys, and then from there, hopefully write a whole instrumental, and then do a bunch of those. And out of all of those, if any of them that I like enough, I'll go actually record it in the studio.
So you build entire demos on my
phone, yeah.
That's wild, yeah.
And I'll make sure, like, because I'm doing the drum parts with my fingers. Yeah. So like, if I find a drum part that I like, I'll go to the garage and actually play it out just to make sure it's humanly possible. Yeah. And so that's kind of how I do my writing.
Interesting. Okay. When you say you take it to the studio, is that like your own like setup, like studio setup, or like you mean like you go? Like
I go
once you take. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. So like a big part of it is done like just through your phone, just through your phone. That's honestly super awesome. I like how stuff like that makes it seem like, oh, if you want to do it, like most of the tools you have, you know what I mean, to get stuff done and write it. Because I've seen so many people create stuff like on their phone or with like a GarageBand, or like there's a few others that I've seen out there, and create like these really like cool songs, you know what I mean? But like just to write, I think that's even powerful in itself. It's just like, oh, you're able to track stuff, especially you, where you're writing the whole thing. We're able to write a guitar part and I'm like, oh, let me see what drums I can put over it, because that was another thing. Like, then that's another thing that I feel like I never truly had. And anytime we practiced as a band, and I would hear like a guitar part, I would only hear the guitar part and be like, well, I can write to that. But then you put drums to it and be like, oh, it's completely different. You know what I mean? Like any other part like can completely change a song. So you being able to get a full demo and idea of what this is going to sound like makes that writing process even easier when it comes to like lyrics. Do you write lyrics and vocals like last?
Yeah, that always comes last.
Okay.
Usually it's always guitar first. Actually, it's always guitar first.
Yeah.
So far with everything I've ever written, guitar is always first, and then after that is either synth stuff, piano stuff, or drums. Either way, one of those is either going to be second or third or whatever. And then after that is bass. The bass I usually use more of like, at this point, the guitars, the synths, and the drums are already written. So it's more of just filling in those other holes on the bass. And then the instrumental's done, and melodies come in after that. So I listen to it over and over and over, like on GarageBand. I don't know if you mess with it that much or anything, but
that little loop.
Yeah, it loops. It just loop it over and over and over and over until a melody comes to my head that I think fits the song. And at that point, sometimes I still don't even know what it's going to be about. I just have a melody.
Yeah.
And then I'll lay in bed, just hum a melody that I think is it until like an idea pops up or lyrics come in. Usually like a couple of lyrics will come in, and that'll be enough to be like, okay, I guess that's what the song's going to be about. Like my first song, Picnic, it was like, I don't remember exactly what came in first, lyrically. I think it was the chorus, but it was like talking about driving to the moon. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what this is going to be about. Okay. And then I just stay in that.
And build off of that.
Yeah.
See, that definitely makes sense to me. Because that's what that's the closest thing that I like related to was the loop thing. Like, because anytime we had anything remotely recorded, and like I think when I make myself sound so old, but like when we were recording, the recording that we maybe had in the early years was like like we put the phone in the middle of the practice room and like that. So there's like a live recording of like everything, but still, like I'm like that's enough for me. Like, and I also like I was there at practice, so I know what that song sounds like, not just on the phone, but. That would get looped and looped over and over and over. Like that's what I would like anytime I was in the car. And the car was where like I would loop that shit because like whatever drive that I had, and if I had melodies, then I could sing them as loud as I want. Not have to worry about anything. And that's how most of my stuff got written. When it felt the most natural was like melodies first, and then because we're like I was doing like heavy vocals or like screams and stuff like that, it was like cadences. So I'm like, so I would like figure out cadences of stuff, and then wherever like whether in the melody or the cadence a word would pop up first or a phrase or something, I'm like, there's a reason like I said that, like so why did I say this type of thing, and then go back and then okay, now let's build a song. Like I'll figure out a sentence and I'll be like, what was I thinking of, and try to figure that subject and fit it into like if it fits, it fits. But that's the way it felt the most natural. What I've never been able to do is like the other way around. Is like write lyrics first. Doesn't make sense to me.
I've never done that. I don't know if I even really ever will.
I feel like if I maybe not lyrics, but like if I could like write music, like let's say in your shoes. But the one thing I've always wanted to is that I always figure out like vocal melodies. And wish I could be like, oh, I know what I'm hearing. I don't know how to, write that on an instrument. But like, I can see that a little more plausible. Be like, oh, I have like a vocal melody, and I can kind of figure out an instrumentation behind it. But yeah, I would think Lauren from Grey Bloom does lyrics first, and we were talking. Yeah, like I think like if I'm not mistaken, it's if it's not everything, it's like 90% of the songs, and it's like he's like it's pretty much all written down, and then I'll figure out like the melodies afterwards, you know what I mean? And it was very interesting. I'm like, how, and then and on the first one, where they work together, like Aaron plays the guitar, so like the instrumentation came all completely afterwards, and she still fit the lyrics that she wrote with creating melodies to fit now into the instrumentation that they had written together. I think on their newest EP, she started playing guitar, so she was building. I think that might have helped a little bit more, but still, it was like that's wild. You know what I mean? You had a whole song because I think I've had the experience of like maybe like a one-liner here and there.
Yeah,
like, oh, I have
me too.
that, you know, but not like an entirely structured song. Like that one's different. But I love hearing stories like that because you realize that people's creativity and like their songwriting all like varies, you know. Everyone writes something different. It's so cool to see, especially like sitting in with them. I mean, you like even like I said, living like with your roommates that you do, like you have access, like immediate access to like other people doing, you know, music, you know, New Heroes and Pennyboard. And then I was noticing your live band is pretty much South State, right? Right?
Yeah. So Ryan, who sings in New Heroes, who also drums in South State, who also drums in Pennyboard, also drums in my band, and Michael, who plays bass in South State and Pennyboard and New Heroes, plays bass in my band, and guitarists kind of change it around. Samson did play guitar for one of my shows, so pretty much that first show that I had played, it was literally South State. Yeah, it just me and Samson just switched. That was pretty much it.
That's fun. It's funny because South State was a band that came out of nowhere for me because I'm like I have never heard. I think we had Samson do one of the we were doing, what were we calling them? Rot Swap. So we had like 4 different songwriters at the post and stuff like that. And Samson
I was there for that.
Yeah. Samson did one of those, and that's the first time I had heard of South State like at all. And then like I was looking it up, and I'm like, it's just Catch with a what? And I was like, how the fuck have I missed like any of this stuff?
There's a sexy element to his music. I think.
Yeah. And it's which I thought was interesting, and it comes back because it comes back to a conversation I had with Jade or Victoria XO, where we were talking about how they were struggling. She's like, I don't know who to play with, like, you know, live. But at the time I was like, yeah, I don't know either. You know what I mean? But then like I've seen like even like the bill that you're about to play like on a night, and I'm like, oh, like these are a lot of like bands playing not similar music, but they go to get, you know, I could see this bill happening. You know what I mean? But it was funny because all those bands are like bands that I just started like finding out about, like not like super recently, but like within the last maybe year or two, that I had no clue were out there. You know what I mean? Like Moonstone being one of them, where I was just like, where's this band been? You know what I mean? Like they're really good. And I think who else is Amethyst?
Amethyst,
yeah. Again, like someone new that came out, and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm glad that it's finding a spot out there and it's getting played more, because I realize I don't not on purpose, but subconsciously, I think I get pigeonholed, and I'm like, and then I start realizing, I know there's so many people out here, but I forget to like, oh, you have to still discover like stuff.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's a lot.
And there's a lot. There's so much, but also makes it super cool. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. Do you feel like you're finding I mean, you like I said, you haven't, you know, we're coming up on the year anniversary of your first performance, but do you feel like you're finding a place on like where you're to perform with, or, you know, where you see yourself being able to make kind of a name for episodes slightly?
Well, so Jade, we're actually pretty good friends, and playing shows with Victoria XO, I think that works. That I think I can probably be on a bill with South State. It's essentially the same band anyway, but like I think musically that would work. There was, I'm blanking on the festival name right now, but that I had played that I don't think I really fit in. But I mean, that was one of our first shows, so it was like, it's okay, you know. But I do think I am finding a lane. Like played at 3 Links, Bad Lives, and I feel like that also fit. So I think slowly I'm like getting on bills that actually I feel like I belong on.
Yeah, I'm a fan of both. Like I always, it feels like I'm always playing like both sides of like whatever argument. But like I do like mixed bills, but I also know like having like a really nice bill like of bands that and it's never like they sound similar, but I'm like, oh, this lineup, I would have a great time listening to this band after this band after this band. Like, I mean, this makes sense to me. I'll give a perfect example. The summer school tour that just like happened at Southside Ballroom had the home team, Magnolia Park, Honey Revenge, I think Scene Queen, Let Down. That's only 5. I'm missing one. Oh, and oh my gosh, I'm fucking dumb. It's like right here. Stand Atlantic.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That entire show felt like this. I go, all these bands, again, don't sound alike, but the bill was really good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, it was my first time listening to. I think Stand Atlantic. I hadn't listened to them a lot, but like that was the show. But the show made sense, but it was also like fun. So like if you like this band, even though like you're not like this band's number one fan, there's stuff in this that you would like. You know what I mean? And mm-hmm. build like that. So yeah, finding the right places for you to perform at, to find those people that are gonna genuinely like you. That's one of my, I think, big things that I talk to like bands about is like make sure you're pursuing that, you know, to find your own audience. You know what I mean? Because you have friends, like friends will always support you and they will, you know, they'll like your music and stuff like that. But you want the people who like will become obsessed with your music. Mm-hmm. Will be like, I love this, and are going to shows because they genuinely love the music or whatever you're creating. I mean, that's who you want to find, and figuring out where people like, oh, these people like this, they might like some of the stuff that we do, you know, in our music, is, I think, is super important. Especially like, again, if you want to keep just building. Yeah.
At first I definitely felt like I was stuck in the pop punk crowd, only because like the bands that I was playing with before and all the friends I had made, it's all pop punk.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this ever so slightly thing, I got to at least branch off and like almost make a whole new batch of friends, like, you know what I mean? Because like I didn't know Bad Lives before. I didn't know like any of the bands that I guess like that sounds closer to my area of the genre or whatever. But I felt like I had to definitely like take a different turn.
Yeah.
And because like I know more of the pop punk people, but like I don't belong in there. Musically.
Does it, and this is probably the way I'm looking at it, but I'm like, that, what you just said, like, even when you said it, like, sounded scary, but you're like, yeah, it kind of feels like I would have to, like, find another set of, like, you know, peers to, like, work with. I don't think not necessarily friends, but, like, yeah, there's another
the whole of the world.
And say, you're like, oh, I'll have to be part of that world. And it's kind of scary because I'm like, oh, like, I have so many people in this world, and over there, I'd be starting, you know, fresh, you know, again, like, so I'd have to like, again, get to know people, make the same connection, it's the same level connection that I have here, but now somewhere relevant to like what I'm putting out. But yeah, it is intimidating to make like those types of like, you know, jumps, even just a little bit outside. But I feel like, you know, you find some cool things, and you meet again more people with more perspectives that just add to your own, and be like, okay, there's other ways to do things. That's what I talk. Even like with writing music, you realize that everybody does it different. You know, everybody's got their own thing, and even when you have a circle like you do, and all these people being creative, there's still a bunch more ways to do it, and maybe a bunch more ways that maybe work better for you. You know. But yeah, that's the scary part. Is trying to find like where you belong. You know what I mean? If like everything you've done up until this point like doesn't necessarily serve like where you're going,
right?
Like, I mean, obviously it helps. It's the same, not the same scene, but it is creatives, and it's always good to be around creatives regardless. If you're building like something like that, but yeah, figuring out that spot is the hard part. Yeah.
Something I've been thinking about, because you had mentioned you're in mariachi. That's all I've been thinking about. What did you play?
I play guitar. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I played that guitarrón.
The guitarrón?
Yeah.
Guitarrón was, I think I realized that after I finished like high school and like and all that like guitarrón holds it down. And it's funny, like, because song building, like I said, as an audience member and someone who's just looking at like music from the outside, it's like, oh yeah, the singer or the guitar player, or whatever, those are the ones I know. But then you hold like now I'm like, dude, bass and drums, like if you have that, like it's going. But in mariachi, the guitarrón was like, actually held it together, dude, the entire time.
I had calluses on my fingers already before because I had played guitar and all that shit. But like guitarón really gave
those strings are so thick, man, on like guitarón, and they're like this giant like plastic like type of string.
Yeah.
No, I could never. I literally couldn't play those. I think I gave my hand at what's this? Oh, hold on, I need to figure this out. No. Oh my god. What's it called?
Yeah.
It's the small one, and it's
viola.
Huh?
Is it viola?
No, those are
That's right.
these suckers.
I forgot what it was called too.
Because it's guitarrón. It's not requinto. I'm thinking of the wrong thing there. Vihuela.
Is that
Vihuela is like the small one, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not.
What did I say? Is it
Viola?
Oh,
yeah. I think your head was going in the right. Yeah, well, maybe it's spelled the same. I don't know, but yeah, Vihuela was the one that I was obsessed with. I love that one because it was definitely a lot less of like the sound and of like the actual notes being hit. Like it was very slight, but it was a lot. The strum, it was a lot more strum heavy, and I like that. Like I like that it was more almost cadence focused. Like I felt like on most of the songs. But yeah, that's the one I always. But anytime I wanted to play, like somebody better was already playing it, so I never got the chance to. So the only time I ever played like actual gigs was like when they needed like a spare guitar player or something like that. But yeah, like my family all did that, so that's why like I grew up listening to like that sort of music, so I really did like enjoy it. I just never found my footing in it, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, cause like my uncle in Mexico had his own band, and he's still actually doing music to this day. Like, but where he'll like, and I thought it was so cool because he had like a giant like tour bus that they would go and play like gigs at and stuff like that. So they were your typical like party band. I guess it's like a technically like a cover band, but he had his own actual band because I still remember like we have a tape that it was like his. I think it was called Scorpion, but in Spanish, Scorpio or something like that is what they were called. But I remember like my mom bringing the tape home and like his picture was on it, and I'm like, that's so fucking cool. And then going to Mexico and seeing like the bus and like having them load out. Like I think I have one memory where we were like, they let me be on stage, and I was like, man, like maybe 8 or something like that, or maybe younger. So I remember being small, and I don't know how the stage was built, but like what I was leaning on was like the drum riser, but it had like, I guess, a cloth over it. So I thought it was solid. Oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like I'm just standing there and like I'm nervous as hell because like they're playing, there's like giant crowd or whatever, and I'm just like, and I'm like backing up, and all of a sudden like I just fall through it, and like I end up like under the stage, and everything's cloth covered, right? It's just dirt and metal poles, dude. I'm like having a nightmare, dude. I'm just like crying, and like I'm like, what the like for me, like it just like turned like that, and I don't no idea where I'm at. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, that was like one of my first experiences. Like I remember just like them pulling me out, and I was like crying and shit. But
that was like, during the performance.
That was during the performance, and I don't think they stopped playing. Like I think someone pulled me out, and I think they kept going. But yeah, I still thought like that was the coolest thing in the world. I mean, seeing somebody that I knew, and that was like my uncle doing like music. I'm like, and so I feel like all these had like little seeds of like, oh, like that seems really fun. Like that seems super fun. And then here my older cousins did mariachi, and they were really good. So both of them did like violin, really, really good. And both of them sang really, really good. And I'm just like, oh, like I want to like do that. So I had people like that were older than me in my family that were giving me something to look up to. I'm just like, that's so cool. Like I want to do that. I think I always like for a long time when I finally took a chance on like me singing was just because like I snuck my way into my first band. Like it was their singer. I would show up to their practices just to watch, and their singer never showed up. So like I think by this point like I'm showing up every practice, and I'm like I know the songs. So then like a few like weeks in, I'm like, let me just write something to this. I mean, just for me. And I had a song written, and they finally like had it. He's like, he didn't show up again, blah blah blah, this and that. And I was like, I wrote something for you. You need someone just so you can practice. And it was like, yeah, it's fine, blah blah blah. And then like literally after that, like then I kept going. And then when he finally showed up, because I was still technically not in the band or whatever. They're like, oh, like we'll just have both of you do vocals and this and that. And then just little by little, just like inched him out. Not on purpose, but he never showed up. But yeah, I was never super confident in my voice, and it kind of shows because I always thought everybody was better. I would always look at that. I'm like, dude, they're so good. Like, why the fuck am I doing this? You know what I mean? Like, everybody's doing better stuff than I am. But yeah, once it got super fun, what the fuck is this doing? Hold on.
Was it the charger?
Yeah, it's this thing. There you go. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So I was always comparing myself to like everybody else doing things, but even like getting into metal, like that was my cousin again who. The first anything metal-ish related was Linkin Park, and he gave
I love Linkin
he didn't
Park.
give me a CD. He sold it to me. No case, Hybrid Theory, out of the case, like $5, and that's because that's what he was listening to. So that was I always credit him with, like, that was my, because like obviously like that's my older cousin and I admire him. That was the coolest person that I knew. So he was like, this is what he was listening to that and like Limp Bizkit, and I was super into like both of those. After that. But yeah, like seeing people around me like perform, I'm like, dude, that's got to be like the funnest thing ever. And then you start doing it, and I'm like, it is so fun and like addicting. But now, like moving forward, figuring out the community behind like being in music and performing is so sick. Like that's something that I never had until the later years when we like reformed a band, and now like being in it as deep as I am now, like it's crazy to think like being out of it. You know what I mean? Like yeah. Especially, I mean, you've been doing music for like a long time too. Is that something that's kind of kept you around it too? Is like the community behind it?
Well, it's definitely rejuvenated me because like there's not a music scene in Victoria. Like definitely not like this. Yeah, there's a few bands out there. That's kind of why we moved, because like at the time we're all like. Early 20s trying to play like grungy alternative music, and most of the bands were all like middle-aged people playing country classic rock covers, and we're like, we don't belong here. So we moved up here, and it was a huge culture shock, honestly. Like I didn't even know about house shows before. Like they're like, hey, there's house shows. What is that? And there's like so many bands here. Is like you just walk down the street, you're gonna run into a musician. Like it's cool to be like in a community full of people like me. It's cool because I don't see myself stopping. I'm gonna keep doing music until I can't anymore. The longest I've ever gone was 6 weeks when I broke my finger. That sucked. Not because like the finger was broken. I mean my finger was broken, but like it was more of like not being able to play music. And we had a gig back. This was before I moved, but broke my finger. Came to practice, was like, "Hey guys, I can't play," and there was like a huge splint on my finger. They didn't believe me. No. They thought I was joking. I was like, "No, it's actually broken." You can kind of see my ring nail. See how it's like all the way over there.
That was from that?
Yeah, that's from breaking my finger.
How'd you do that?
I used to work at this lumberyard place. I was picking up this post, and I felt it slip, and I was like, "Yeah, there's no way I'm going to catch this or anything." So I backed away, because it could have crushed like my whole arm, but I didn't fast enough to get away from the hand, but not fast enough for this finger. Just so I happened to be like right here, and it just like on this beam.
So just that one, like right there. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it never hurt. It just like immediately went numb and like immediately swelled up, super dark purple. Oof. I did this and I was like, yeah, I can't even feel it. And my nail, like, sorry for.
Oh, here we go.
So, my nail, it popped open this way. So it cut my finger open here.
Oh my God.
And so like blood's just coming down my hand and like.
That sounds
so I immediately walk in, try to get my boss, but he's on lunch. And then the assistant manager, he was like off on because they had drivers, and I guess, I don't know, maybe he was on lunch too, I'm not sure, but it was a bad timing. So I was like, okay, I don't even know who to go to. So I'm like walking around with like napkin, like just covering my finger.
Oh my God.
And they had to drive me to the doctor, and they did I got shots right here to numb my hand, like all in here, and it numbed my whole arm. Yeah. Which is crazy. And then the doctor lady was like, all right, are you ready? And she was going to push it back in. So I turned away. Yeah. And she just pushed my nail back in. And
that sounds awful. Yeah. Where, was it still like, I mean, or you said they put something in it so it was numb? So
yeah, it was, okay. I mean, I can feel like someone kind of just moved a little bit, but it didn't hurt or anything. What did hurt was like, it obviously was dead, so like it was growing off you know?
Yeah.
And like there was a little bit of time where I didn't have a nail here. But when the nail was growing off, I accidentally snagged it on my amp and ripped the rest of my nail off. And that is what hurt.
That sounds awful. What the fuck? Here I am bitching about the other day. I was peeling potatoes and I peeled my actually the weekend of Plus Fest. Like I was like here making breakfast and like just peeled and like cut the nail and through it. But hearing your story, I'm not bitching about shit anymore. Oh God, that sounds fucking awful.
Yeah, it was wacky. It was a wacky time.
But that's the only pause that you've had.
That was the only little 6-week pause of music. Other than that, I'm playing every day. Whether it's just to keep the juices flowing or if I'm actually trying to write. But I'm usually playing I'm playing something, some instrument every day.
Like it's that phrase, like I know what that feels like, I'm going to do this like forever. Like I don't know what specifically. I don't have anything like super specific. I just know like creatively I need to be doing something. The longest pause was when because the band that I was in like was a high school band. So we did it and I think we did it maybe for like a year after. And then like we broke up or whatever. And I didn't do it again till so that was like for like 5 years.
Damn.
So it was like 5 years where I didn't do anything creative, like that, like music or anything like that. And I look back at him and I think about it now. I was like, what the fuck was I doing? You know what I mean? And you realize like, I was like, oh, like that's why. And that's kind of like, I had like a few dark years and those were like those years. And I'm like, dang, I didn't have like anything that I felt like I had. Yeah. Yeah. And then like after like, and I realized like, oh, after like I was always doing something, you know what I mean? Like, whether it was like in my life, like I was like, when are you like the best? You feel like you're doing the best. And it was always like me making something, you know what I mean? Like when we were kids, like we used to skateboard, but like my thing wasn't like having the funnest time skateboarding. Was like I had a video camera, so I was the one filming everybody. I'm just like, I love like putting this together. And then even later on, like once they made like smaller cameras and stuff like that, I was shooting little like skits and stuff like that. I'm like, that's fun.
I used to do that too.
Yeah, it was just like it was cool. Like, you know what I mean? I just never dedicated to it. I would just like do it for fun. Like there was no like vision for me. Even like when YouTube like was like launching and stuff like that, like I think I posted like a few times. Just like I never understood like that culture or anything. But making stuff. Then like then the band came back together. Then I was like, oh yeah, this feels like I'm doing it. And then that went away, and I'm just like, oh, what am I doing now? You know what I mean? So and then like I think I started like a vlog and like I was having fun like doing that. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, you know, putting something out. And it was just that. I was like, it's just I'm making something. That's all it is. Like, and then now like the podcast, like Noise Rock, so all the stuff that I have fun in Noise Rock is all making shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all literally like creating something. And I'm like, oh, I go, as long as I'm doing something like that, I go in whatever capacity it is. Like I said, people ask like, oh, are you ever going to do music yet? And I was like, maybe, you know what I mean? Like it's in there, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm just happy like creating stuff, but I realize like that's what I need to have in order for my life to function. You know what I mean? Because I think about without any of that, I was like, yeah, I can't. There's nothing else I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, then do like something creative. Like, you know, other people like have other passion stuff. Like, oh, these are mine. You know what I mean? And this is what keeps me on the right, I guess, track to feel okay and be like, but so yeah, that definitely makes sense to me when you say that. It's like, oh, I need to be doing this, you know. Definitely makes sense.
Eventually I would like to try to like some point in my life I would like to make an animated series.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like I want to try the voice acting thing. I don't know about right now, but I do know eventually at some point I want to at least try to like maybe even do like a community play or something, you know? Like,
interesting.
Or maybe even have like my own talk show type of thing. You know, I want to do something like that. I do know I want to do something like that in in general, it's something creative, you know? Yeah. Like what you're saying is like, got to be doing something creative forever. I do think I do want to play music for like forever as well.
That's like the one.
Yeah, that's the constant, one. That's the one constant. Like growing up, wanted to be different things, you know, like I think, you know, like they ask kids like in school, like first graders, what do you want to do when you grow up? I think like I had said I wanted to be Spider-Man, but like eventually
I want to be Spider-Man.
Eventually, like, it was like actual jobs, but like that's always changed. Even like the time that I spent in college changed majors all the time. But like the one constant is knowing that I'm going to be writing music and in some form.
Yeah.
And I thinking about not doing music just in general, like it's like dark world. You know what I mean? Like I gotta have that.
Yeah. No, and I've talked to people who don't have that, or say that they don't. You know what I mean? Hold on. What the fuck is this doing? It's literally on silent. I don't get this at all.
Oh, those one of those like charging plate things.
Well, that's this other phone, and that one's not on, but this one's on silent, and it keeps making noises, and I'm like, stop. Yeah, I've had a few conversations with people that have told me that like, oh, it's like that they don't have like anything. You know what I mean? I was like, well, what do you like doing? You know, and because I always boil it down like, let's go simple, because I feel like a lot of people think it's got to be complicated. Like, oh, it's got to be like, oh, you know, I got to have something like. If I don't have something like, I'm using myself for example, because I've heard it. Like, he's like, well, I don't have anything like what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't have to be that. I go, but what is it? You have something. Like, you have something that you enjoy doing. I go, it doesn't have to. You don't have to pursue it professionally. I go, but what do you like? Like, what do you like doing? And I've had like 2 conversations where they were like, no, I don't have anything like that I like doing. And I'm like, and I still persist with them because they're one of my good friends. I'm like, you gotta have something. I go, you just either you don't like saying it because. I mean, I don't even know why, but it does make me see and make me appreciate the fact that I do. You know, like I was like, you know what, like, yeah, like I don't know what I would be without, you know, something like that. Which is cool. That's why, like, I try to encourage as many people who are doing like bands. That's why, like, again, that's why like this podcast has kept going for as long as it did. There's so many people, doing creative things, and new bands and new artists like popping up left and right and doing it. That should keep going. You know what I mean? Like when people pop up and they're like, oh, like, you know, they suck, you know, everybody's like, yeah, it's fine. Like everybody, you know, sucks. Like, and it's okay, like to be bad, but do it. Like if you want to do it, do it. Like I don't care, you know, if people out there saying it's not good. I go, sure, like you're gonna get better if you really want to do it. You know, that's the whole thing. Like if you really want to do something, then do it. No one's gonna stop you. Which I think goes back to even like what you were explaining with like your soul music. You're like, you know, where you're trusting yourself a lot more with like your writing process, where it's like, if I want to write it this way, like I'm going to write it this way because you can. But yeah, that's why I think of people who don't like have that encouragement, or have the immediate negative feedback to, if you're, depending on who you are, you know, if you're not, confident enough, that might, you know, set that project aside, and we may not see some of the music that we could have had if they pursued it, you know, 2 to 3 years, you know, whatever long it takes. Like now I'm more, I guess, appreciative of like the progress and journey, because I have so many things out recorded that I can reflect back on and be like, damn, this is better. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just kept doing it, you know what I mean? And I feel like more people need to do that. Need to just like, hey, if whatever idea you have, like even if like you tell me and I think it's crazy, like fuck do I know? You know what I mean? Like, I say that so many times now where I'm like, yeah, like, you know, I wasn't really a fan of like this band or something, but then I'm like, oh, you know, then like I'll see them like later and they're doing like really well. And it's like, oh, fuck did I know? You know what I mean? Like, because I don't know everything. You know, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, I'm honestly like pumped to hear like what more like songs you're working on. I mean, you're working on the EP. Are you planning to play a little bit more live? I mean, you've kept some sort of like consistency here. Like I've seen you like pop up and play.
I've been playing shows maybe like every couple months. Yeah, like one every other month maybe. Yeah, I kind of want to keep it like that. I don't want to constantly be playing all the time. How
do you feel about that? With people like talking about like, oh, it's not oversaturating. That's not the word, but like feeling like you're overplaying, like you're.
Yeah, I definitely believe in that. Like especially if like the last time I played was April, so it's already been a little while. But like if I'm playing the show August and you know next. Oh man, so it's coming up.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
it's
how
like
close
next,
it was.
almost next
it's
week.
Like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just didn't realize it was coming up so quick. But like, if I'm playing again in 2 weeks in Deep Ellum again, what's to stop people? Like, what's to stop people from being like, I'll just go to the next one.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm not gonna play again in a few months, I feel like that little bit kind of gets more people to be like, I need to go see them when I can. I'd rather play less shows with more people than all the time with more people. But then, you know what I'm saying?
It definitely you create a demand for yourself to be like, oh, like and it feels more special because you don't see them too incredibly often. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like one of the things with like doing Noise Rot stuff and doing shows and stuff like that, you realize like, oh, people are deciding to go to whatever specific show, like, and that's where they're spending their time, their money, and everything. So, you know, if there's that band is playing again, that they might, you know, keep pushing that off and not see them. But if you only see them, you know, a few times a year, and it's like, okay, I need to make this one because I don't know, you know, when they're going to play next, and also like work on making that show special enough for them to be like, oh, this is worth it. You know what I mean?
Because people are paying to see it, whether it's like 10, 15, 20 bucks, I still feel like, okay, yeah, you know, they're making time out of the day, paying to see me play. I got to put on a show. Yeah. I'm not just playing the music. I'm putting on a show because it wasn't free. Yeah. But like, I do also get, if you're like starting out in a small band, I do get playing a lot. To kind of get your name out there. Yeah. But I don't think you need to be playing all the time. You know what I mean? Like, at first, yeah, maybe you just start playing a bunch of shows. So if no one knows you, that's your introduction. But once people start getting to know you, slow down the shows because you want to build that demand.
Yeah, it's definitely getting to know what your market is. The only market I've seen be able to play shows every week is the hardcore scene. It's the only one that I'm like, I've seen this band's played 4 weeks in a row, and those 4 weeks there was like a full room of people like seeing. So like it just depends on what community you're looking at. Yeah. But also like those shows are very normally like low cost, you know what I mean? So you can see them that often, and you're not paying crazy amounts of money like to be able to see these bands over and over again. But that community like does seem to come out pretty frequently. Like that's what they do. But I had I think Brett in here from Everyone Dies in Utah, and we were talking about the difference between like show goers and like music listeners. You know what I mean? They're not always the same thing. You know what I mean? You can listen to music and be like the biggest fan of music, but if going to shows isn't your thing, like you're not going to shows. So there's that crowd that does go to shows, and like, okay, how do you find those people, and most of that is playing live, you know what I mean? So, and then once they see you, if you put on a good show, then I'm like, cool, I'm going to see them next time they come around because this was fun, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I enjoyed it. But yeah, the live aspect of it is definitely a big part for me, especially if I'm going to see like you again. If I see you and you have a great performance, like, then I'm like, okay, like I'm going to come back. You know, and even if like you're one of like a band that I really like, but the performance is like, then I'm like, oh, why am I gonna, see it again? You know what I mean? Like right. I saw it once and it wasn't like which kind of sucks, but it's kind of how the game goes, which is why like people are always iterating like or really nailing down that anytime you play a show, like you need to play like you're playing to a room full of like a full room, like to people, like you need to have that type of energy because however many people see you, whether it's like 4 people out there, whatever, if they like what they see, those 4 people might bring one more person. Now it's 8, you know what I mean? And then it spreads from there. But yeah, I like that you are taking a focus into your live aspect and practicing what a live set, even like, again, like talking about like practicing, stage banter and things like that, and like adding the element. I know it started off as like something to take, the attention away from you, but even adding like the interpretive dance to stuff, that's extra stuff that you don't see out there, with everyday performances. So it's another thing that you're looking at. But yeah, I think the performance is super important for musicians and bands like to create like a following. And I feel like you're doing that. But do you have any idea when you're maybe planning on releasing? I know you're still kind of working on it.
Yeah, hopefully. So my first song, Picnic, I went to Hunter Shaw. I don't know if you know Saints Can Lie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and I went to him to record the stuff. well, just Picnic. I went to Sam Farr for the other singles.
Oh, nice. R.I.P. Havnear, man.
I love Havnear.
So good.
But yeah, one of the reasons I like going to Hunter Shaw is like we're really good, and he's like chemistry wise, and also he's really great at pushing me like, to do better, do more, like all this stuff, which really appreciate. I kind of need that, and also like being in Saints Can Lie.
Yeah,
that's a totally different type of like music genre. I appreciate the difference like he can make because he's looking at it. He's not looking at it as like a indie pop guy like me. I mean, I don't know actually. Maybe he is. I don't know. But just someone who plays different type of music, working on my music, kind of adds like a different element. I feel like especially because he works with Native Darkness. Something like that. Native Dark. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but anyway, they do a lot of like video game music.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like the heavy metal and video game music inspiration that's in him that like he'll maybe like sprinkle in. Like I go in with the whole demo on my GarageBand, but I'm still like a little open to like maybe we can change this. Maybe we can do that like in the studio. Which he helped with, like a lot of the synthy stuff. He spruced it up, and I feel like if you had just those tracks, it does kind of sound a little video gamey. Like if you really like go into it, and I think that kind of like makes Picnic a little more unique too.
Gotcha.
And like with Crook, the guitar parts are very like Spaniardy. And I don't know, there was like a little phase where I just kept doing like Spaniard type of stuff, like Spanish type of guitar.
Yeah. And
I took some of the chords, and that's how I made Crook instrumentally. And also I used to work at School of Rock. Okay. So like I would teach kids how to play drums, piano, guitar, and all that stuff. And I asked my the littlest kids, I asked them like what their favorite songs were or bands, and most of them said Imagine Dragons. Okay. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. A lot of the little kids like Imagine Dragons. So I listened to them a lot to like analyze them. And that also was a big inspiration in Crook. Okay. So it's like if, I guess, me writing a song with Imagine Dragons and like Spanish guitar all put together, that's what that is. But yeah, I don't even know how we got to this. So I don't know.
Just talking about the songwriting that you working on it, but there's no like actual like official like I think you're still working on it, so there's no official release date. But do you have any idea like when you're trying to have like stuff done by?
Yeah, hopefully we can record in January, and release like sprinkle out the singles and then the whole EP from like maybe March through the summer. So like it. Pretty much like spring and like a little bit of going into summer. I think that's the perfect time anyway for like this type of music.
That's some summer anthems, man.
Yeah, so that's the idea is to do that. I'm gonna finish up writing it hopefully by January. Or like one thing I don't like to do is writing in the studio. Like I know you can do that. Like people were like, all right, I'm going in to write in the studio. But like I kind of just want to write and know what I want already, and like keep a little open mind and be like, maybe we can change this, last minute changes. But going in, I already know exactly what I'm going to do on everything, drum wise and everything, and I just want to go in, get it captured, and that's it. Like I don't want to go in not knowing what to do, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, it's definitely like the difference between like being prepared and but still being willing to work with like your producer or whoever like you're working with and be like, okay, we can try like a few things here. I think that's what you're like kind of what you're talking about versus like when I always bring it back to like an experience, our recording experience, which was like I didn't know the etiquette of like working with somebody, so I was just like in my head pretty much like press record, the song is fine the way it is, like it's fine, like so I was very defensive about that, not open to like thing, which kind of hindered I think the process because it created like this little bit of like tension, I guess, always. And that was just because like at the time like every time if you said like, what if we try this? To me, it was you telling me, oh, your song sucks. Like, and so taking it to heart like that. But I definitely know the difference between like just going in and being like, oh, I know what the song is like, so if we are changing stuff or adding to it, I know if that's going to go with what the song is supposed to be. You know what I mean? So you can make changes. Like if someone suggests something, you're like, oh, that might work because it fits into what I have planned or what I have written. You know what I mean? But if someone suggests something and you're like, oh, that's not going to work, not because I'm defensive, but more because like I know what the song is. Like I have everything written. I know the way it's supposed to go, and that's not going to work. It's going to change like something completely. Which I think is an excellent strategy. Coming to the studio prepared is definitely something, again, with the many studio sessions that we did with different people every time. I'm like, holy shit, like that's so important. Like, which I think it's easier now. A lot of people, again, like figure out ways to record demos and be like, this is exactly how it's going to go. But yeah, basic stuff like having your stuff super practiced. Like you should be able to play this stuff like, you know, a bunch of times over, depending whatever you need to do then. And writing in the studio is not something I've ever tried, but I have heard like bands and artists that do that, and I'm just like, all right, it works. I just like wouldn't be able to deal with like the pressure of like, holy shit, it's not done. Like when I'm walking in here, but that's exciting. I'm excited to hear that. Hopefully that comes out, you know, early next year. And then you're playing. This won't come out by then, but you got a show on the 9th. Any other shows planned for the rest of the year so far?
I probably will do one. I don't know if maybe Jade already said something like on social media, I hope. But Jade's having Victoria XO album release show.
Oh, okay.
And they really wanted me to be on the bill.
Man, she hasn't said anything. Exclusive here, you're in trouble. Nah, we'll bleep it out if need be.
I don't. It shouldn't be a problem. I'll ask Jade.
You can ask. This will come out for like a couple of weeks, so you're good.
But if anything, I would do this show and then open up for the album release show.
Cool.
And other than that, I do want to try to go back home to play a show. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
I do kind of maybe want to try like as my birthday's the day before Halloween.
Oh, okay.
So I go back home, play a homecoming show, I guess, and a Halloween birthday show. Like all of that in one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So everyone could come dress up. It's also celebrating my birthday.
Yeah.
But I'm also playing back home for the first time as Ever So Slightly. So I thought about doing that, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. That sounds like some good ideas. I feel like you can make it happen. Man, thank you for stopping by. I really, really appreciate you making the trip down.
Oh, totally.
Let me know. I actually have an idea to pitch you. But anyways, you don't have to pitch it right now. But so if you ever need help in promoting anything like that, let us know. Once the album's kind of worked on, maybe like can do another one like starting next year. Like if you're wrapping up and stuff, that'd be kind of cool to go over and see all the new stuff.
I'd love to. Yeah. I'm finally here.
You're finally here. Yeah, this place is huge. It's so big. Wow. Now everybody, I swear, it's like, oh, it looks bigger when on this camera. I'm like, yeah. But, it gets the job done. But no, again, I really, really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to stop by and talk. But this has been episode 119 with Nate from Ever So Slightly. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
Sounds and breakdowns.